Hi, have you ever worked with kids that just refuse to do work? Whether you're a teacher or maybe you're in a mentoring program and you run into a few kids that just refuse to do any kind of work with you. Well, one thing that we don't want to do is lower expectations, and that's what I want to talk about in this video today. So what do you do for the kids that just don't put out any effort? Well, there are three things that I'd like to talk about in this video. One is you don't lower expectations. Another is you can't group all those kids into one category. There's going to be individual situations for each kid. So you need to break it down and look at the individual. And then finally, I really think it's important that you understand there's probably more than one problem. There's not just going to be one problem to solve for that kid to get them involved and get them engaged. My name is Chad Carmack, and I'm a former principal. I really like to help adults help kids, whether it's teachers, coaches, mentors, whatever we can do to provide kids with direction. It's just so important for us. I was having a discussion the other day with a friend. He's an educator, and one of the things we were talking about is he's got kids in the class, and numerous kids that just refuse to do any work. They refuse to learn, basically. They've shut down, and it's a major problem for educators and for mentors. If you have kids that just shut down, refuse to do any work, that's a problem, and it's something that we need to work on constantly to get those kids back on path so that they're successful. So number one, we never want to lower our expectations. I worked with a lot of highly effective teachers in my life, and I'm telling you, not one of them lowered their expectations for children. So as a mentor, coach, teacher, we have to control that. We have to make sure that we're not lowering expectations just because one student or a couple students in our classes are shutting down. We still need to maintain high expectations. Think about it. That's just a principle in life. If we don't hold people accountable and have high expectations for them, they would never reach those high and lofty expectations. So we need to set an example as educators or as mentors that we're not going to lower our expectations. We would rather model it so that they understand how important it is that we pull them up. We do whatever we have to do, and not in a confrontational way, but have them meet those expectations. Now, sometimes kids will ask us to prove that high expectations are important. Well, you can look around and you can find examples of places that you just would not tolerate low expectations. Let's think of a surgeon, and you're going to have an operation. Well, I want that surgeon to be the best surgeon in the world if possible. I don't want a surgeon operating on me that went through medical school and there were lower expectations at that medical school, and then they're working on me. No, I want the very best. I want the top surgeons. Think of other professions, pilots. You can take in career pathways. I don't want my plumber to come in and their training was low expectations for that plumber, and before I know it, I have leaks all over my house coming out of pipes. So you kind of get the idea. We can share those examples with kids. So I shared how important it is to have high expectations. Well, let's make that the strategy for the school or for the program. You have kids that just absolutely do not follow through. They just refuse to do the work. So if we just say our strategy is having high expectations, well, that'll solve the problem, because Chad Carmack said it would solve the problem. But it won't solve the problem, because if you look at the individuals, you will have a better chance at solving the problems. The problems are going to vary, the individuals are going to vary, and there's just no blanket strategy that is going to help you engage all the kids. So it's important for, I just wanted to make sure that it was important for you to understand that just having high expectations is not going to be the strategy that solves the problem. The next part is kind of exciting, to try to find a way to get kids that are just not performing in your class to do well. Well, first of all, remember, it's not a confrontational type situation. You need to be firm, have high expectations, but if it constantly is a battle, the kid probably will have no relationship with you and not perform, not do anything anyways. So what we need to do is we need to look at it from a perspective of, like down the road, I've looked at this tree, and the tree is smothered with vines. Now, one vine can do almost nothing to a tree. It can creep up, and it will probably not do too much. But the problem is that there are a lot of shoots that come off of these vines around where I live. So the vines will basically turn from 1 to 5 to 10 and just continually creep up the tree until it's smothered. The tree is wiped out and dies. So that's really what's happening with our kids. When you think about it, some of the kids have multiple problems. It's not just one problem, it's multiple problems. Just like when I was talking in a class the other day, and I asked for them to share, why would some kids not do well in class? And they basically said a variety of things. One of them said, well, probably lack of parent support. Another one said, maybe they're taking care of siblings at home. Another one says, maybe they're constantly missing the bus because they don't have an alarm. Another one said, it could be self-discipline problems. It could be all those things. It's not just one. It could be 3, it could be 2, it could be even more problems for the individual. Our goal is almost to be like detectives and try to find out what is going on with the individual child so that we can help solve some of the problems and get them engaged in learning, because again, we know how important it is that they learn. We can't just give up on them. So we need to focus on more than one problem. Okay, let me summarize. Again, high expectations are so important. The teachers that I worked with in my life that had high expectations, they were the ones that got results. We also need to not just group kids into one category and think that we can solve the problem. We need to reach down, we need to look at the individuals. If you look at the individuals, you'll have better results. And then finally, know that there's probably more than one problem. You're going to have to look for multiple problems and try to solve those problems, try to working with those young people to try to find a way to get them engaged, because we know that it's a life skill. If they refuse to work and their expectations are extremely low and they think they can get by in life that way, they're going to be running straight into a wall. So we know that, and I applaud you for constantly looking for ways to engage young people. If you like what you heard today, I'd love for you to subscribe and become a part of the Learning Pursuit team. So it's at learningpursuit.org. If you go there, you can subscribe to the newsletter and you will be alerted when I put out a new essay or a video. Now, in those blog essays that I put out, I also always put a bunch of questions in there that are ready for you. So if it's something you think that you want to use the essay in a classroom or in a mentoring program, and you think it can be useful to use the questions, that's fantastic. That's why I have them there. I wish you the best, and thank you for joining me today.